I think we're recording. I see a little red dot.
We're recording?
I think
We're on.
You know, she asked us if we were in the frame, and are we in the frame? What does that mean?
I'm in the frame.
Aren't we always
She's
in
saying,
the frame?
can you see your frame?
Can I see my frame?
You guys look good. You guys are matching too. You guys
Hey,
are-
how come the camera's only following my face and not Chaba's face?
It just needs to follow one person.
Ooh,
Because you're going to stay at the same.
Because you're the most important one.
No, you're the most. You're the
can you
main
see me?
host.
Hallelujah. Ready?
Hallelujah. Yep.
All right, let's count us in. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the No Roof Podcast. I am your host. I'm going to slow down this time. I am Chaba.
Chaba.
I am Chaba. I am Happy Warrior. I am George Washington. And this is our co-host, Choo Choo.
No, it's
Choo Choo.
No, that's
He's-
right.
No,
I'm
don't you
Choo
dare do
Choo.
that.
I have
He's
proof.
Choo
He's
Choo.
Chaba.
And together we are Chaba
Choo
Choo
Choo. Don't mess us up. We practice.
Right.
We
Well,
practice.
welcome to the No Roof Podcast. We're going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to have
Come on.
more of like a round table discussion. But before that, let's go in the intro.
Let me do an example right here.
Alright.
Have you heard about
Yeah.
Chaba? Have you seen Chaba today? Did he drive in?
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you
Alright,
do
let's
have.
hit it.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here. And today, just in case you don't know, today we have actually the whole No Roof Podcast team. So we have
Production.
Jackie and we have Nate. So
I'm Nate.
we kind of had this idea for this podcast. I kind of pitched it to Rafa. And it's been a fun journey really getting this team together. So let me just introduce people's roles. So Jackie is kind of the producer. She kind of sets the what is that called? Cinematography, videographer.
Ambiance.
Yep.
The
The
ambiance,
tones, the
the tone, the
colors.
lights, the things you see.
You see the
that's-
purple, the blue?
That's all her.
You literally
Yep.
said that.
And then we have Nate, who's helping us with the sound and also a producer because
That's
he
right.
helps us really ask questions and get things moving.
Get the
So,
heart, yep.
so in this podcast, we're gonna take the roof off lies. We're gonna take the roof off lies, really doubt, hesitation, and just excuses.
That's
I think that's the biggest thing. You know, out of all the podcasts we've done, I think it would be so fun to talk about kind of the things we hesitate on.
That's right.
So I wanted this one to be a vulnerable podcast. So I picked, really, this is the team that I think we all know each other very well. And
Yep.
we're creating this thing all together. And so I thought we'd tear the roof off doubt. Is that okay?
I guess.
No.
All right.
You guys look so scared.
It's
We're
not
not the
okay.
FBI.
I know, you guys look so
I'm not
scared.
there. I'm scared.
FBI.
So I'm going to start.
Go for it,
I'll
Chaba.
start. Is that okay?
I think that's perfect.
All right. Because, you know, with all the guests we've had and even talking about the Holy Spirit with Pastor Kathy, this is episode 4, by the way, right?
Yeah, come on now.
Man,
we did it.
All right,
yo.
we're doing it. We're doing good. It made me realize areas of my life where I may be hesitating, doubting, and really believing a lie. And I think all of us, even when Papa K was here, he said something that really hit me. And we asked him, what causes you to keep going?
Yeah.
Because I think all of us have done things and we've just stopped.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you keeping going? And he said something really big. And he said, it's not for me, it's for future generations. And that one really hit me. I was like, I don't know if I ever think like that.
What a
Yeah.
guy.
And so when he said that, I was like, that's the great bigger picture, is it's for the generations to come. I think sometimes it's so easy to look in front of you and just like, make it about me. So we want to get vulnerable. So I'm going to be vulnerable first. And I want to talk about something that I tried to start and really gave up on, believed a lie and doubted. And I'll share really why. So when COVID hit, we started the Glory Zone.
Oh.
So it was a YouTube channel that I wanted to start for the
wow.
kids.
Dang.
And it was going well.
Yeah.
It was
It was
going
amazing,
good.
yeah.
I had these guys. And so all I used was my GoPro. I had a GoPro and I was like, man, I would love to create David and Jonathan, all these characters, make them come to life. And the first 3 were really good. I had traction. But here's the thing, though. I learned this in this process of failing, that I do really good, or I think I'm doing really good when I do it all on my own. And I wrote the script. I was doing the filming. I was doing the editing. And I had you guys come and be a part, right? And I think it was the 3rd or 4th one where I just hit a wall and I felt like, okay, I need more help. And I didn't know how to ask. And to be honest, I felt like I was burdening you guys. Can I be honest? I felt like I was a burden. Like, I know, Nate, we filmed, I think, the 4th episode. You had a God encounter, or we had the union lock, not the lock-in, but you had the...
Crazy.
the young adults, not the young adults,
Yeah.
some event here.
Yeah, in the wild, out of the wild.
Right, out of the
Yeah,
wild.
for sure.
And it felt like, man, we were filming and you had a thing
Yeah.
tonight. I just felt like, man, I'm inconveniencing all these people. And I stopped making these things. And it just kind of fell off. I haven't done an episode in so long. And I realized something. I'm very independent. And because of that, I've crippled my vision. I feel like I was burdening you guys to ask you guys to be a part of it.
Wow.
And it really stopped growing. Now it started out great, but as soon as I realized I needed help, I need people to help edit.
So good.
And it didn't do well.
Wow.
It just kind of stopped. And I don't know what you do, but I've learned this about me. When it gets overwhelming and I don't reach out, I just shut down. So that's why there's no new episodes. So just being honest with you.
Dang, that's really good, Chava. Way to just put your whole heart out there. How do you feel now that you said that?
I think, I mean, good. I knew it. I think even preparing for this one, I knew I was going to share this one first.
Beautiful.
But I don't know. Did you guys know that?
I honestly forgot about that whole thing.
Yeah.
We would spend so much time. We went out the field and dude, we went forever, dude. We were out in the field.
And it was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And, it was fun. And then I think I choose to carry the weight and not ask for help. And I wanted to start with this. And we were all in a leadership thing. And I read something where it says this: when you have people or a team and you try to be independent, it becomes disastrous for everyone. And that eagles can't fly together. And for more information, if that happens, if one person tries to be independent. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even give us a chance to fly. I feel like I try to do everything. And you guys may not even known this, but I just shut down. I shut down. I stopped dreaming. And the sad thing was, you guys have everything I need.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm going to start with that.
No, that's beautiful, Chava. I love that. I had no idea. that that's why you stopped. I thought you got overwhelmed and you just had a lot more stuff going on, or somebody came and was like, you need to shut this project down because it's not working or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting that you brought up the future generations, because there's moms that text me. And they see us on there, and I'm wearing a wig. I look like Elvis. Sometimes I look like Elvis. Sometimes you look like Elvis. And Jackie's always behind camera recording us, and you and your GoPro too. And the mom is like, that's all my kid wants to watch. The kid, one of the kids calls me Theo, calls me Uncle, and he's like, I just want to watch Uncle on YouTube. And that hit me of like, wow, I think sometimes we don't realize we already are hitting the future generation, because it doesn't look big, right? It doesn't look like it's 1,000 kids on YouTube watching us. But that one kid, that's a future generation.
Right. That's a good point.
So thank you for sharing. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, but I really want to hit what I think all of us have dreams. I know all you guys very well, and I think we all could agree we could be a lot further than where we want to be. Yes? Can we at least admit that?
Yeah.
Especially in growth, and especially when it comes to creativity. So does anyone want to start this off? This is a dangerous one. I know this is dangerous. Hey. Basically, it's like, let's share our scars. Let's share our. I think it's so important to share failures, rejections, because I think it's in those moments that are real and raw. I think I was talking to Nate about this. When we read the Bible and you go through the book of Acts, I think we read it like, oh wow, they batted 1,000. They were perfect.
Yeah, right.
It's like, no. They were figured things out. They had to fail. They had to fall. And we've always said this here, that if, I think it was Denzel Washington.
It was, yeah.
He said, if you're not failing, then you haven't even begun to try.
Wow, that's so good.
And does that hit anyone?
Yeah. I mean, something for me, if we're gonna be honest about things we haven't been honest about before, at the beginning of this year, I posted this thing, because I do photography on the side, of saying, I'm going to take a year off of photography, and two of my biggest supporters in life were like, Jackie, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Why didn't you talk to us about that? And it really bothered me that they asked me that question, because I knew I was running away from it. And I told myself when I did it that I was doing it because I needed a break, because I have so much work to do, because I just got a full-time job here. But if I'm being really honest right now in this moment, I was afraid, because I didn't think I was good enough.
Wow.
And for me, the thing is comparison. Especially on Instagram, there's crazy talented people, and everybody's sharing their work, and my stuff never seemed to come even close to the standard of what everybody else was doing. So I was like, I need to stop. Like, I'm wasting my time. I've invested so much money in all these things. And honestly, then like God just has been working on me since, and just my confidence and like all of this, I feel like comes down to identity.
Yeah.
Because if we don't believe that we are who he says we are and that we have what he says we have, we look at others to tell us that. And most of the time others are looking at others also. So of course they need to make themselves feel better, you know?
That's a good one.
And they don't know how to affirm.
I think let's continue this talk. Let's tear the first roof. I think
right.
let's tear the roof off.
We should.
Comparison.
I like this roof.
I was thinking identity.
Identity.
Too.
Well, let's go deeper than
comfortable
identity. I
in
think
here.
identity is the comparison one.
Yeah.
Right. That's
I
it.
think all
absolutely.
of us are creative. All four of us, we've finally identified that. Thank you for catching up, Mr. Creative over here. Now that we've identified we're creative, let's tear the roof off that comparison thing,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
think holds so many of us in hesitation and even getting started. I know for us creating this podcast,
Right.
like that thought came of like, dude, there's tons of podcasts. There's hundreds of podcasts,
Right,
you
right.
know, and it was just like,
Like anybody with a phone.
with anyone's phones creating
Yeah.
podcasts, and it was like, why do it? And I think, I don't know, how did we get through it?
Well, I think with us too is when we were comparing it. I don't know if there's a different. That's why I want to take the roof off comparison, like you said, and identity, because with us it fueled us. You know, we would watch all these different podcasts and we would get something out of it, and we're like, we love it, like we want to go and do it. But then there's other things like by the way, that's my wife. I love you. So
that's
much.
right.
That's my wife. But on Papa K's video, I talked about how she draws lions and I draw sausages. You know what I mean? And whenever we're doing art. And my comparison towards her affected me negatively.
Yeah.
But when we were comparing podcasts, I was like, I can't wait to do it. So for me, it's really hard because it's like taking off the roof off comparison. It's like, when does it switch to like self-rejection? Or when does it actually move into doubt rather than inspiration? I think that's the word. It's like, when we compare, why doesn't it inspire us? Why does it bring us down?
Right. It's a good
I
question.
don't know if that makes sense.
I think something key like in this is the us. Like you said, we are all very independent. All four of us are. We actually
that's
prefer
good.
to do things
Come
alone.
on,
you
Like, this
know?
is like, you know,
I don't know. I
yeah.
want to be here.
This is what is it? Independence Anonymous. Hi, I'm Abel.
Yeah.
I'm independent. You know, let's all admit
Yeah.
it. That's a good
good,
point.
baby.
Though.
Go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah,
go
keep
ahead.
going.
No, I just think that's the difference. Like anytime that I've experienced, like we were just outside trying to do like our logo
Oh
on
yeah, the
a
tagging. We were
backdrop.
tagging.
And we were doing it in graffiti and not graffiti, sorry, in spray paint. Spray paint is it's permanent. Okay, I can't go back and erase it. And Abel brought out something that I could practice on, but because the spray paint was so permanent, I was scared to even practice on something because I couldn't go back and erase it.
So good,
and
man.
Abel was like, Jackie, just do it. Like it's literally trash. Like you can practice on this piece of wood, this thing, whatever. And because he encouraged me to do it, I was like, okay, yeah, he's right. Okay, I'm going to do it. And then I did it. And it was scary even doing it, but we weren't alone. I wasn't alone doing it. He encouraged me in it. And we've done that for each other from the beginning when it comes
So
to this.
good,
You know?
so good.
And that's the thing about the creative community. Even like, we're not supposed to be doing things alone. And when we collaborate with each other, we go
So good.
so quickly to comparison, like, oh, he's a better leader than me, or oh, he said that better than me, or
Wow, yeah.
he's so confident, or he has a really good eye, like I can't do that. So you start to back out.
Wow.
But really, in these moments and things where we collaborate, and if we say, Abel, actually, I'm scared to spray paint on this.
Yeah.
Then right there, you take that lie, you shut it down because you've brought somebody in instead of hiding,
so
which is what lies try to
So
do is
good,
make
baby.
it. They try to isolate you. But if you come closer, what could you do? If you come closer and I was able to go and practice.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what else we're going to do
I
because
didn't
we
even
have
think
each other.
about that.
Wait, time out. That's my wife.
Yeah. No, but it's so true. Like watching her. So like, you know, I spray painted the things, and then like it was fun watching her because she grabbed the spray paint and she kept doing this with it, like not spraying, just in the air.
Dang, right.
And I was like, Jack, what are you doing? Like, you know, it's permanent. And I was like, no, but we can mess up. But it was so funny. Like once you went though, it was like she couldn't stop squirting. It was just, let's try the R this way. Let's try the N this way. And it was just like, now if you look at it, like there's no,
I didn't have enough space.
she didn't have enough
Wow,
space.
that's so cool.
So I think that's a good point. So
Wow.
do you think there was a root there to the even the fear of would it be fear of failing or fear of messing something up?
For me, messing up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blank canvas. And for me, blank canvases scare me. like a physical one. I love my computer because I can go back and delete anything, erase anything, and fix it. But I've always been punished when I've messed up. There hasn't, and I couldn't mess up. I was raising 2 kids growing up. I couldn't mess up on their food. I couldn't mess up on putting them to bed. I couldn't mess up on raising them because that was their life, you know? So I've never been allowed to mess up.
Wow.
And then I feel like I'm really responsible. And because of that, sometimes I use that as an excuse as no, I can't do that because then I'm not being responsible.
Wow.
If I wasn't being responsible in using spray paint to practice on a piece of wood, because that's wasting the spray paint. And although the wood we can get rid of, we paid for the spray paint. So that's how I'm thinking. But actually, that's just holding me back from just doing something.
That's
so
good, Jack.
that's the thing for me. But I know we're all different. We all have
Right.
the reasons, reasons why, right?
That's really good.
Let's go to that, Nate. For comparison, anything with you? I mean, you're so flipping good at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You struggle with that?
Struggle with comparison?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's the opposite way. I just realized this recently, actually. It's like I hang my hat on the fact that I'm better than most. I don't know. Like sometimes I come home like, well, I worked harder than most people do, so I can relax now. Or you know, I made I did a better job as a husband today than most people my age would be doing. Like even people that I see and I looked up to when I was growing up, I'd be like, you know, they weren't that great at this, and I killed it at this, so I can relax now.
Wow.
And so actually, comparison actually robs me of this. Recently, the Holy Spirit was talking about this. He was like, you know, you miss out on the potential of what you could be as a father if you would just stop hanging your hat on the fact that you're better than your father was.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And I had a fantastic father. I have a great dad to this day. He's one of my best friends, and he's growing and growing. Every year I feel like I meet a new dad because he's always growing. Like, I'm not saying he's bad, but
Beautiful.
Sometimes in the back of my head I'm like, my dad never did this, and I'm here doing the heck out of this, you know? And so I get to relax there when God's like, you know, I want to bring you so much further. And that's just in like husband, father stuff. So I think comparison for me is not, it doesn't always cripple me in the sense of like, I can't be that good, but sometimes it actually puts a roof, it puts a cap on what I can be because I'm like, I'm good enough. You know,
Gotcha.
Compared to whatever. I'm better than most producers doing this. So
Right. So you kind of go on, you coast then.
I build a nice little couch.
Is that
with
gotcha?
comparison,
Okay.
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So yeah, you hit it the opposite way.
Yeah.
So you'll turn it into almost like cruise control, where like Jackie and I are like, we just need to cross this line somehow. Where Nate's past the line just barely, like, I'm coasting.
Yeah, but I think either one. I mean, at the end of the day, I think either one. This is all I'll let expose. Like, all of it go back to the idea of am I enough? And some, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like some of us use it to say yes, and some of us use it to say no, I'm not. But either one is an orphan mentality.
Yeah.
You know? But neither one of them come from the Father.
Yeah.
You never ask that question ever.
I mean, you said the word orphan, and I just want you to take the roof off.
That's good. Orphan.
Orphan it. Like in the church,
Can I
we're
just
really
say I
good
feel
at that.
I don't feel trapped, but I feel bamboozled, bro. We were like, hey, let's sit down and talk about, and then we sit down and it shifted to like, let's get vulnerable. I was like, come on, man. I would much rather.
You guys are doing great.
Well, I think it's good because I think it just. We grew up under Pastor Barry, and he always said this, where he would be like, you know, if you want to come and serve me, he's like, don't tell me the good. He would go. Remember, he'd go like this, and he'd go, show me your scars.
Wow.
You know, show me the mistakes, show me the scars. And I think every one of our heroes has scars.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
one of them do not have scars. And I think, how do we create, even this for the viewers, a culture where it's safe to share that?
Right.
Like, hey, this didn't work.
Yeah.
This is where I'm struggling. You know, Jackie looking at me like, I'm afraid to mess up. And I'm like, girls, slam that button down and get going.
That's
you
awesome.
know?
Yeah.
But so we would want to take off
Orphanage. Yeah. Orphan, because
So an orphan heart.
especially in church, you know what I mean? Like
You hear that a lot.
in church, it's like, don't hug that person. He's an orphan. Don't
Be
go.
an orphan.
Don't be an
Don't
orphan.
be an orphan. And it's like, well,
You're an orphan.
What is it actually? Yeah, you're an orphan.
You're an orphan. You're acting like an orphan.
We're acting like an orphan. Like, don't be an orphan. Like, be a son. You know, stuff like that. So, like, I just really want to take the roof off. Orphan. Like, what does that mean when we say
Look at me.
it's an orphan thing?
I think, okay, I'll
Go
say
ahead.
this. I'll say this. And this is where we have to be honest. So orphan is anything that doesn't look like him. So if I would think this then, anywhere where I find hesitation.
That's really good.
I'll say that again.
Wow.
Anywhere where you find hesitation.
That's right. Yeah,
like
you're right.
if you look in Genesis, before the fall, it says they were naked and unashamed. And one translation means they didn't know how to hesitate. They didn't know how to worry. There was no am I hearing you, God? I don't, it was a constant flow. So for me, it's where you have those hesitations of any moments of doubt, and not like not like you're an orphan, but it's like those moments are like, okay, I'm not believing. Like you said, it all goes down to identity. I'm not fully believing that he called me to be this,
So good.
or said this thing over
So
me.
good.
Yeah.
I think that would be for me. So I would say were those hesitations.
Yeah. I mean, like, kind of going back to the whole taking a break off of photography, I just started back up, and I've noticed a difference in my work, in my confidence. Even looking back at my work, I was pretty good, actually. I don't know what I was thinking. I feel like my eyes have changed. And the question that God kept asking me this entire year is just not even a question, it's a statement of, you either believe what I say or you don't.
So
There's no in between. You either believe it or you don't. And I feel like that's really just transformed in how I see myself, because I either believe what he says or I don't. I know that in my own strength, in my own capacity, in my own like education, there's a lot that I can't do. But God, first of all, saved my life, saved me from destruction, and has put me in all of these places that I could not be in on my own effort. I couldn't be here in my own effort. And so he's proved to me time and time again that I actually can believe him. And so for me, like, that being an orphan for me had been still working through just not believing him, not believing dad.
Wow.
Because then why wouldn't you believe? You would only believe somebody that you don't know is your dad.
Wow.
Right. So for me, believing my dad, believing what he says about me is just me being a son.
That's so good.
Like, I see Nate all the time telling Levi, like, I'm going to be right back. Even when he says that to Levi, sometimes it scares me. And I realize, like, okay, there's some stuff I got to deal with. But Levi's like, okay, daddy, you're going to be right back. You're not lying to me. You're going to be right back. And
That's beautiful.
Good. Nate, orphan.
Rooster? Orphan?
For you.
Not you. You're not an orphan.
You're not an orphan.
Your son.
What's the question?
Like to you, what is an orphan? Or even like what you're going through.
Okay,
what would be the orphan thing you're getting over?
Okay, I think currently there's this thing he's been poking at of like, whenever, and I mentioned it last time I was here, was like revelation that you had to find out you're wrong. You have to be okay with the fact that you're being wrong. It's so uncomfortable. So he's been trying to grow me in areas that I'm like, creatively, even like we've been working on stuff with worship for the church's Instagram, and I've been like mixing it and trying to make it better. And people will come to me and be like, "Oh, the podcast was too quiet," or "Oh, and I'd be like, I did my best, but it really feels like I'm not enough. And I've never said this out loud, but I'm sitting in my office and I'm sitting there going, God, am I not enough? And it's like the invitation. I thought about this when we were talking earlier about excuses. The invitation is to grow as a producer, but I see it as an excuse to not produce.
Wow.
I see it as an excuse of I'm not good enough. I'll just stop here.
Oh, and you just shut down.
So there's two options, and I was thinking about how do I define an excuse, because I think about excuses not to do music, excuses not to do podcasts and all stuff, and I see excuses are really just invitations.
Yeah.
Like when I was in school, I would get excused absences, and it was a permission to not show up. I had permission to not be there. So for me to if I'm appointed to be, one of the best producers in Northern Virginia, or like if I'm appointed to be one of the best, photographers or whatever, if we have an appointment to be whatever, whatever it is, if there's an appointment, we can have an invitation to not show up to that.
Oh my gosh.
We really can.
Wow.
And I would see, like, my orphan mentality was in my office when I'd hear critics come and be like, it could be better here, but it would poke at this deep part of me where it was like, I'm not enough. And instead of leaning into like, okay, I need you,
get better.
and I need you to grow, and this is an opportunity to grow, I would lead into I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to. It's just too. I don't want to grow.
We've all experienced that, yes.
Yes.
Man, I know when I've been rejected, it's just like, well, maybe I'm the wrong guy for the job.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm the wrong person for the job. Anyone ever had that thought?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bring up a good point, Nate.
It's really good.
You,
Yeah.
orphan.
I'm a son.
Or I mean, I'm sorry. You are a son. You are a child. No, I teach my kids. That's not for the power of the tongue. You are a son.
I am.
But what parts to you do you think is growing when it comes to the orphan thinking?
When you said like let's be vulnerable, I didn't know how vulnerable. Because you guys know I'm pretty out there, and I just try to be as real as I can. And this is just a trigger warning. If like anything has ever happened to you when you were little or anything like that, or if you have any little kids around that listen to the podcast, feel free to put your headphones on so you can feel better. But I just dealt with this last week. When I was 5, I just came here to the States from Guatemala, and my family had nothing. So we were living in somebody's living room on the couch, not even on the couch. Like we were sleeping behind the couch on the bed, laid out there, and we had nothing. It was either be homeless or be there. But the family that we were with had an extra bedroom. So my dad, he was so sweet. He was like, look, Rafa's been through a lot. Let's put him in that bedroom so he can sleep, because I had just started kindergarten. But what I didn't know was that there was an older guy there, and he actually molested me every single night that we were there. Nobody knew. Like, I didn't even know what was going on until years later. But what God was showing me was that was the moment that I was an orphan. That was the moment that I felt so much doubt in my life. That was the moment that I was hopeless, you know, and that actually led to, if we have no hope, then we have no power. Because really the word hope actually means the expectation of an unseen reality. So the way that we creatives can visualize something, make visible to the eye, or use our imagination is through the power of hope. Good. Right? But the thing was that, like, my hopelessness was perverted there. Like, my hopelessness was actually kind of taken away from me there. And so my whole life I lived trying to survive and not feel enough and doubt everything that I would do. And it wasn't until last week that God brought it up. You know, I was just working, it came up, and I felt so much shame and guilt. And it never occurred to me of, like, the reason that I felt the shame and guilt wasn't a good thing. You know, like, it's not a normal thing to feel that, especially when I was a victim, right? A person who was hurt, damaged, an orphan. And anyway, so what ended up happening was, like, when you get those feelings, if you don't deal with them, if you try to shove them down, then this teacher said it really good last night. She said, you can bury things alive. They're still alive, even though they're buried. Isn't that really good?
Jeez, that's scary.
And it's really, really scary. So, like,
That's a
anytime
scary
we come
picture.
to these situations where, like, we feel really uncomfortable, or we feel shame, or we want to push away, what we're doing is we're burying it, but we're burying it alive. So because we never deal with it, we never kill it, it moves on to the next project, it moves on to the next creative thing we're trying to do, it moves on to our conversation, our relationship. So those moments where you feel it, it's an opportunity for you to, with God, because that's the only way that I've ever been freed, invite him into the situation so we can deal with it. And it was beautiful because I'm like, all right, God, like, this is the way that I feel. This is a situation that happened. I'm crying because, like, it's really hard to relive that, you know, especially now as a 27-year-old. I'm a veteran, you know, like, I like steak, you know, I like to shoot things, like all that manly stuff. And it made me feel not like a man, you know, and it's not something I want to tackle. And next thing you know, I'm like processing it with God, and I'm like, what do you want to do with this? And he gave me like this entire teaching, and I got a chance to go and preach this to like 30, 40 people on a Wednesday night. And I was like, look, I became a victim in that moment. I was hurt, I was damaged. But even in these moments of pain, these moments of doubt, God can create it. Not that he let it happen, but he can make this into something beautiful. So what's the beauty that you want to make out of it? And I was like, let's make a teaching. Let's make a teaching out of it, God. And he was like, yes, like, there's power in hope. You're restoring hope to the situation right here where you lost hope.
Was this the first time you ever, like, shared it publicly?
Yeah, the other time was, let's just call it therapy. Like, I was in a therapy session with somebody, and you guys know what I mean when I say therapy. And it came up, and I told the guy, he was a pastor, and I was like, if you ever speak this to anybody, I'm leaving. Like, I'm leaving the church, and I'm cussing you out. And he was the only person I ever shared it with, because there was just stuff that rooted from there. And then this was the first time that I actually even said it out loud and publicly, and it's really uncomfortable. It's not something fun, you know. But I had to practice by sharing it to individuals. You know, I'm like, look, I was a victim, but God still used me. I was a victim, but we were still able to create something beautiful. Hopeless, I was in a place of hopelessness, but God restored it and made it hopeful. So now we get to create something beautiful with it. So anyway, so I was an orphan for a very long time until last week in that area.
You brought up a very important part. I think all four of us have to, I think we see this, which is you don't get healed, you don't grow without that vulnerability part.
That's right.
And I think, let's tear the roof off that. Vulnerability.
Come on.
What areas of our lives are you afraid to be vulnerable in? Is that too deep?
No.
Is that too? Because I think that there's something to that, even about you, like sharing that. That's a tough story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then sharing it in front of everyone. But like you said, you brought healing to it.
I did, yeah.
And God was able to use it.
Right. But I think the beauty behind it is, like, the reason God made us creative, or the reason we have these creative gifts, isn't for the sake of us keeping them. It's like we have something beautiful to share with the world, right? Like what we do in the podcast, yeah, it's for us to become bigger fans to each other. Time out, pause. The camera's doing something weird. I love what we're doing right now because we're all producers here. So like the cameras, we literally
the camera
have to
just
get
stopped,
up
by
and
the way,
go.
so we had to reset it.
Yeah, and
normally
it feel like
Jackie
that.
does it, but now she's there.
This
Go
is
for it.
awesome.
Keep going.
But I think the purpose of you going through something hard and creating something isn't for the sake of you having self-fulfillment, but like being able to go out there and inspire people. You know, because there's people in really dark places. You know, there's people who have been molested. You know, that like now it gets to be like, even though that happens to you, that doesn't have to define you for the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at when it comes to vulnerability. You know, I think it's a powerful tool as long as we don't run away from it. But then everything else is a very powerful tool if we don't run away from it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like, you'll know you trust the people you're around because you are vulnerable.
Yes.
So if you're not being vulnerable, I think it's a clear sign there's no trust. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good.
I think, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, even for you to say that, there's obviously trust here.
Yeah.
And now with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you guys.
Like even for me, I'll say this. I think my biggest thing, even learning with the Glory Zone and even doing this, the vulnerability for me is like the fear, I'd say, is I'm afraid of kind of like yours, but like getting messy, like making mistakes and being rejected. But it's just interesting, but it's not in everything. You know, it's certain things, and I'm like,
That is interesting.
I'm like, what's going on with this? And he's like, yeah, you're afraid. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're afraid. You know, I always do that with John. I think we do. I tell it to him, and he doesn't laugh.
To God.
But yeah, but I think that's a big one for me, the fear of being rejected, which is why I think I just shut down for like the Glory Zone, because I didn't share it with any of you. I wasn't vulnerable.
It's so
like
good.
no one, I didn't put any opportunity for any one of you to reject me,
Yeah. Good job.
which is probably I needed.
Yeah.
I probably needed to someone say, hey, what's going on with the Glory Zone video?
Wow.
What's going on? You're not doing your part here. I probably needed that.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Instead, I snuck out the back door and I didn't grow.
Dang.
Wow.
Can I talk about something with you?
Yeah,
Joe?
please.
I've actually seen you grow so much. I mean, I've always looked up to you, but I've seen you grow leaps and bounds when you invite people in to tell you when you're not doing great.
Yeah.
You know? And you've walked through some correction in ways that I don't think I've seen many people. You lean in.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
learning.
But like you and you don't, and I'm not saying you did it perfectly, but anything that you did off, like you, do you want to do? Should we talk about it?
Yeah,
Let's
take your
talk
shirt
You
off.
remember? All right. I was blown away to see how you handled people coming around, people you care about, people even like above you, whatever, saying, "Hey, you ran this event and it didn't go as well as it should have, right?"
I failed, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
but the
No,
thing
but
is-
it's good. I think this is good. It's
but
good.
what I watched you do is I'm watching you real time in front of people getting squeezed by these people who are saying like, "This is what you did wrong," and everyone jumped in it. They were like, "You could have done this better, this way," and they were doing it because they loved you. But the whole time, it was like watching you kind of squirm into this place of like, I care more about this church, I care more about my calling, I care more about you guys than I do about this fear. I watched you in the moment pick it because. If I could talk about, I think Rafa put his hand on your knee or whatever.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and he like slapped it away, and he was like, "Don't patronize me." And
I totally did.
Dude, I wasn't
yeah.
like.
Rafa's
I
heart
missed it.
just broke.
I know
Yeah.
the pride. I
Like,
literally cried.
yeah.
I know it's like that's just like love. You might as well just like
Yeah.
smacked him in the face. But you all this, all the while
That
this
was a
happening,
vulnerable moment.
It's
I
like
love
that
you.
wasn't the right thing to do, but that's what came out of the time, and you went back and you repented everything. But like
Yeah. That's
beautiful.
you ended up in a better place. You guys ended up closer.
Yeah.
We ended up. I ended up better. And the thing is, I think we're so afraid of making messes, but messes really do help us. Like that wasn't a
Yeah.
clean way to go about that, but at the end of the day, we all won. We all came
Yeah.
away closer. We all came away. I grew from it. So
Yeah.
so I think we build up this thing of like, I'm afraid to make a mess. Or I'm afraid to make a mistake, even in
Yeah.
being corrected. But at the end of the day, like, one, being corrected is good, but even if you respond poorly and cuss everyone out and slap someone or whatever, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
that didn't happen. But if that did happen, like we can actually grow from that.
It's good.
It's better for us to get it out. And I was driving here today. Can I say?
Yeah, keep on.
I was driving here today and I was thinking about excuses, and Levi's shoes came off. It was like a normal thing. He takes his shoes off all the time. But he was like, "Can you help me with my shoes? Like, help me with my shoes, please, shoes." And I was like, I can't. And then I was like, I'm not going to lie to you, Levi. I can, but I want to get to work. And I was like,
You said
it
that
was-
out loud?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to train him to have this powerless mindset of like, I can't
Right.
do it. It's like the truth is, I could pull over the car and I could get his shoes. But I realized the first step to getting out of like excuses or that mindset is like, tell yourself the truth.
Come on.
I can. Just something's more important. Like
Yeah.
for me in creating,
Wow.
like you would tell me all the time, when's the next song coming? Oh, I'm kind of busy. That's not true. My fear is more important at the time. But I watched you in that time
Wow.
when people were coming in and they were like, they were digging at you like, hey, you could do this better. You said, okay, my fear is not as important as you guys. My fear is not as important as my calling. And you made that decision.
Yeah, and I'm gonna admit this to all you. It hurt. They know it. It hurt. I remember Nate came up to me. I think it was that Monday, and you gave me the biggest hug, and you were just like, "You need space," and I was like, "No, I just need hugs." And he just hugged me, and it was so good. And like,
Abe.
you know, when you go through it, and then you have people that they pray the
Yeah.
I don't want to say the pity prayer. It's like, oh, Father, help. Oh, my gosh.
Father, help.
God,
And so-
please help me.
and so, like, even that being the vulnerable part, the hard thing for that.
They didn't get smacked
I
up.
can hear Holy Spirit in me at the time, like, hey, but you're just going to be quiet. But you're going to listen.
Yeah.
Good job.
You're going to take it. And I think, man, even going through that, I must say, like, I think without that, I don't know if we would have done this podcast.
No.
It's so true.
Like, once I got through that, I was like, I want to do more stuff with you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I need more of that in my life. And it hurt. I
Yeah.
mean, for a good 2 weeks, it was like, those thoughts came like,
Yeah.
I can move to Omaha.
yeah.
We could start a church
For
in
sure,
Omaha.
for sure.
Just being honest.
Yeah.
But it was just like, no, this is good.
Come on.
Yeah.
And it brought a freedom, but man,
Yeah, it hurt.
But
you know what? I think the beautiful thing is like, after that pain happened, then being honest with each other was easy. Because if we can be honest with the hard, then we can be honest with everything else. At least that's what I meant with you. Like, there's even times now where, like, because of what you went through, like when we were starting the podcast, we would be pitching this idea to people that could reject us. And they're like, we would pitch the idea, and I'm like, hold up, time out. I got to talk to my business partner. And then I'm like, I'm scared. I'm so scared right now. Like, it's turning bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, there was supposed to be no lights. No, we're not supposed to be matching flannels. Like, it's supposed to be on the down low. But because of that one thing of vulnerability that made you feel so uncomfortable, actually paved the way for these honest conversations to help us move forward together.
and freedom.
And
like,
freedom,
Like I know
yeah.
for me after those 2 weeks, I don't know, it like the air, it's like the air was just clear for me. It was like, oh, this is nice. I could feel the freedom in it. And thank you guys that were. So it was these two, by the way. It was Rafa and Jackie that were the ones digging at me.
Jackie didn't get smacked.
But
I
it
didn't
was
say anything 'cause
so
I was
good.
with you. I was,
Huh?
I was ride or die with you.
Yeah,
during the stints.
Nate was ride or die
Like
with
you
me.
were like, let's wing it. I was like, let's wing it.
But it was so necessary. It was so necessary. Yeah.
Bebe?
Jackie.
I wanted to say something you said when he asked the question about vulnerability, that we're creating this podcast not for us, but to serve.
Yeah.
And I think like anytime we're creating, we're serving our community. It doesn't, whether you're making a good, like a good that you can sell, or art or music or videos. Anything that you create, anything that you make is supposed to serve our community. That's what it's for. It's
good.
to do something in people, either to inspire them or help them heal or show them something from a different perspective, right? And I think like, Rafa, what you shared was so vulnerable about what happened to you. And I've seen artists create things that haven't dealt with things that have hurt them in the past, that really broke them, and then that solidified their identity in that brokenness, and then they've created things in that brokenness, and then it's actually served our community in not a good way.
Wow.
It's actually hurt our community because
Wow.
it hasn't helped anybody.
It's really good.
And creating is not selfish. It's not supposed to be selfish.
right.
It's
Come on.
actually super selfless. And I don't know, I just want to say that because I think hearing something like that, it brings up things in people of like, oh, I remember what I've been through, and there's hope.
That's
I just
right.
want to say like there's hope to deal with those things, and when you deal with those things, actually you become free and empowered to do whatever it is, whatever dream you have, whatever thing inside of you, any idea that you have, you're actually empowered to do them, and you're free to do it,
Right.
and you're not scared to fail when you begin to deal with the things that are holding you back.
It's good, Bebe.
So I don't know if that answered the
No,
question.
That's
but-
really
That's really
good.
good. Like, even I got a question. Is there anything, as all four of us are creatives, and just like you are, if you're watching this, you are creative. God's idea. Is there anything? Do you have artwork that you're afraid to be vulnerable with?
What do you mean vulnerable with?
Like to share, take it to the world. I know for me, like us creating this podcast, it was like at first like, okay, that means people are going to dig into us because everyone's going to see it. And so like I'll share one for me, like, I also like to produce and make music, and like, so the theme song you heard, I created that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though. Here's the thing about that though. It didn't get good. I had the melody on it. It didn't get good until I gave it to Nate.
Come on.
I had to be vulnerable, which I had to admit was it was scary at first, because dude, it's so poppy, so me.
I love it.
But even that, but as soon as I was able to be vulnerable with it, it was amazing what happened when someone else got their hands on it. Because so people know, but Nate does the audio engineering, which I hate. I love producing and making it. I don't know how to make it everything come together. So he mixed the heck out of it, and then added this little intro where it rises in the beginning, it just made it so juicy and sweet. But I think I'm learning, when you become vulnerable, things just get better. It's like this podcast. This podcast is I think getting better because it's not just me. It's every single one of you, almost like saying like, hey, come and put your hands on this, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be vulnerable and say, attack my art.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In a way, like attack my art.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like honestly, like it's out on the table. Here it is.
Yeah.
Is this good or bad? Like for you, it was like we were outside. You showed me your R. There it is.
It was
this
not
good?
good.
And we were like, no.
Next.
But then she did a few more. And it's like, it's getting better.
Yeah, it's good.
But you could. I saw like you got inspired. So I don't know.
It's good.
Does this make sense? Let's talk about like things that. What is the hesitation there when it comes to art? Nate, let's go with you. I know. Come on, you know me. I'm gonna pick on you on this one because you are a musician.
Yeah, so good.
And a musician of all musicians. I mean, the stuff you play is just it's
Amazing.
It's unlike anything I've ever heard. So, like, what are some of your hesitations when it comes to vulnerability, and even I'll say excuses or hesitations or doubts, and even go back to identity, because a lot of people don't know you're a musician. It's so many times how many people I've met, they go, Nate plays a guitar, and I'm like.
That's what he's
Are
known
you
for.
kidding me? It's like saying like, wait, Picasso paints?
That's
right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
And that's how I introduce myself. I'm the Picasso.
Yeah.
That's really wild. I have a business card. I think.
But no, because talk about that. Because I think a lot of people don't know, but like Nate, I think it was before COVID, like was really handed the studio. So now he's in charge of the audio engineering, which you've been growing at, and you've been putting the work. But now what's the next step? Get it. I think you're skipping the vulnerable part.
What are you
Or have you hit it yet? Have you hit it yet?
No. What is, you're saying? What is it that keeps me from being vulnerable in the like music arena? Like,
Yeah.
music?
Or just how are you attacked?
Okay, that's good. I like that.
He doesn't
Jackie,
like this.
you wanna
He doesn't
answer
like
for
this
me?
question.
It's fine. Whatever. I don't know.
We're all
I
growing
think,
here.
I think what I said before is like when I was telling you guys to tell yourself the truth, I was not gonna do that myself. I was hoping that you would do that, and just I don't have to, because I think there's a lot of things that I do believe that aren't true about my, not just my music ability, but like how I was made. So it's hard for me to say like, oh, here's a problem with what's keeping me hesitant and what's kind of holding me back in musically, because I'm still walking around with this like,
Okay.
like I'm just like this. I don't know. I love that people don't know I play music. I love that people like. Sometimes we'll be at hanging out with some young adults, or whatever, and Jack will just be like, Nate sings.
Yeah.
Nate sings
He's a
songs.
producer.
Do you
I
know
tell people that.
And I'm like, can you shush? Dude? Like, what? Because I think what I deal with the most with is expectations versus reality. And the gap between the two is like, that's disappointment.
Ooh.
Wow.
And so if I can keep your expectations low of what I can do and what I'm capable of,
Wow.
then the chance of me disappointing you are, so a lot of the stuff I deal with musically has nothing to do with music, but more like goes back to being an orphan is,
Gotcha.
is am I enough? Am I less than enough? Okay, then I'll just hide this song from you.
So there's a fear of disappointment.
It's
of being a
disappointment, yeah, for sure.
Ooh.
I think, yeah, and that goes to, I think when I first, I don't want to go to my. When I first picked up a guitar, it was in private, it wasn't to perform. It wasn't to. I had no ambitions of being famous. I just finally found something that I could take my heart and express it in ways that my mouth doesn't know how to.
Beautiful.
And even writing songs and stuff, I fell in love with this idea of you can like teleport or kidnap people musically, where they're sitting in their room on their bed tucked in, and then you could take them to a whole another place. And so this idea of like, I'm listening to people, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. I wanted to give, like you said, give that to people. I wanted to give people a way to, teleport. I don't know, that sounds so weird.
So good.
But,
That's really
but
good.
my heart with that is like, that sounds like a wonderful dream. It sounds like an awesome ambition, but it involves bringing people into a very private place, like places that I haven't even gone yet,
Sacred.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's not like here, if my car's a mess or my room's a mess, it's not like, here, you right here, I'm gonna go bring out this pretty thing. It's like inviting you into my mess and saying, here's all the insecurities and stuff like that. And here's where I suck, and here's
That's
where
hard. Yeah, that's hard.
It's easier for me to say, all right, you guys stay out there.
And I'll bring the good stuff.
I
out,
don't even
just
have
to-
a car. I don't even, it doesn't even exist, bro. I don't know where it is, Yeah, so
That's really
Yeah.
good. That's beautiful.
Ooh,
does
that's
that feel
hard.
vulnerable? I feel like I'm still hiding, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really good, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's good.
No,
It's a good first step.
a good
I'm
first
just
step.
scared of letting people down,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so even it's scary. Even with the close people too. Like I remember one time I learned what's that? I think it's Claire de Lune or something. I was learning on the piano because I wanted to.
It's
and I was
hard,
like,
yo.
dude. And I was like, ba 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 ba. It's hours, bro. I would spend so long spinning. And I went and I showed somebody close to my heart,
Oh.
and
No.
They just, uh-oh.
they're like, yeah, you messed up with that last note.
No.
And I was like, I'll never
Oh,
ever show you anything. I like made a vow in my heart. I'll never show you anything ever again. And I'll never play piano again. I don't think I play that song ever again, dude.
It's my favorite song.
Rooster,
Yeah.
dang.
But we ended up getting married. Everything's fine. Yeah, so.
I'm a whole kid. That's beautiful.
Is this Megan?
It was a song. You did it. It's a song that got it. It was that last
Yeah, for
note.
sure,
That's
for
for
sure.
sure.
That's our jobs as wives.
Yeah, for
Sorry.
Hey, but you know what I love though? Go ahead.
I'll say this though.
Go ahead.
I had to learn in that moment to learn to communicate. That's the thing. Is like with vulnerability, I think there's this misconception of we make those vows of, I'll never trust you again. When really, if we just double down, it actually really bless
Ooh.
us. So I remember exactly where I was
There it
standing.
is.
I was standing in my grandma's house. I was upstairs,
It is.
and I was just kind of like pouting. And I told her, I said, I worked really hard, and that really hurt to hear you say. And I felt like I was sharing something precious, and I'm just letting you know, like, that was really painful. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm just saying, like, this is how that felt. Was like, and instead of me running away and making that vow, I was like, I'm actually going to double down and tell you how bad that hurt.
Yeah.
Not just get hurt, not be vulnerable, get hurt, and run away. I'm going to be vulnerable, get hurt, and tuck even closer. Hey, this really hurt when you did that.
That's good.
So, anyway.
Awesome.
Well,
That's good.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm really happy you went through that. Cause now every time I brought you music,
Oh, I
even
know.
from the beginning when like I was teaching myself on YouTube how to play, and I didn't even know how to hit the pedal. I didn't know the pedal is
I
what
remember
made
that
it
talk,
sound like a
yeah.
real piano, and I'm
Yeah.
like trying to sing to Jesus, like it's just horrible. And you didn't care.
Yeah.
You weren't like your note sucked. You weren't like why are you not hitting the pedal?
Yeah.
You were just like good job. You're doing the piano. And then you slowly came in and were like, if you hit the pedal right here,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then literally, as soon as you showed me how to hit the pedal, Jackie, because I was learning how to play the piano for Jesus and for my wife. And then she came in and she was like, you can play the piano. You can play the piano. And I was like, yeah, I can play the piano, man. I know how to play the piano for years. Like I had just learned like 3
Yeah.
days ago. But the fact that like, what it felt like to hurt because somebody criticized your work, you didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I was very mindful.
You're
In
so
fact, even
mindful.
to this day, just yesterday he showed me a song. Even to this day, I'm very conscious of like how I encourage
Yes.
or correct
You do
with
such
you
a good job.
specifically, because you can feel in the room a level of vulnerability that it's like it's precious, it's sacred,
Yeah.
it's more valuable than anything.
In a technique.
Wow.
Yeah, because that is trust. Like you said, if there's no vulnerability, there's no trust. I say if there's no trust, there's no relationship. So when you're saying you're going to bring me to a vulnerable place, it means that we're going to a place where you actually trust. We have a relationship, and if I put anything above our relationship,
Right.
then I've missed it completely.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We talked about
You
the
won't go
gar-
through it. You'll leave. right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know we said no preaching, but
Preach.
can I just drop this one thing?
Yeah.
I realized just recently, I was reading through different tests in the Bible and different things. Adam and Eve, when they've been to that apple, they put clothes on before God was anywhere around them. And I was realizing it affected their relationship first. They realized, oh no, don't look at me. Between Adam and Eve. Had nothing to do with God at first. And that our sin and our shame actually makes us get in this place where we're hiding from each other.
Yeah.
And there's division. There's no trust between us when we have this like shame and this guilt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you sit there and go, I'm going to be the opposite of that,
Right.
I honor that more than I honor any notes you play.
That's beautiful.
Before anything else.
Yes,
Because I
yes.
know
Yes.
what it's like to be on the other end.
But then the way you correct is like really beautiful because you correct with encouragement. And you're like, I love the way that you hit that one really hard chord to pass to the next chord. And so like today while we were done setting up, I wanted to practice that so bad because I'm like, Nick said I'm good. I can get better at that. And then, you know, I did it really good and I was like, I was horrible. Like I was so bad when I was doing that passing chord.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I love you.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Even I think Pastor Joan always says it, and we say it, but you can't know yourself by yourself.
I think we don't want to know ourselves though.
I know.
Sometimes I don't like getting around you guys because like I don't want to know myself.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you guys pull out some stuff and I'm like, I don't want to know that, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to know I'm insecure about this. Like as soon as you started like, let's get vulnerable, I was like, dude, seriously though.
Yeah.
I'm happy we did it, but gosh dang, dude, it's nice to not know yourself sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Anything else? I think this has been really good. I think yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
Can we take the roof off being a creative? Like, what does it even mean to be a creative? We say that a lot. The whole world says that. They're like, you're a creative, you're not a creative. Everybody that owns Instagram is a creative now. And so let's take the roof off creative. Like, what does it mean to be a creative or labeled a creative? Bebe, you go first.
You know, I said this off stage one time, but I actually don't consider myself a creative. People just started calling me that, and I was like, sure, whatever. But I sometimes I think things like that can really put people in a box,
Yeah.
and it also keeps people outside of the box. Also, like they're like, no, you're not creative. Don't come in here. And I think like, and even that I feel like might be cheesy. I don't know, but I think it's just about expression and expressing yourself through whatever media you want to do it, like whether it is a podcast or it's music or it's producing or photography or film. There's so hundreds of things, especially on Instagram. Like it's never been easier to show how you express yourself than it is in the time that we're living in right now. You know, it's never been easier and more accessible. If you have a phone, you can literally do anything. And so I don't know, I wouldn't define creative. I think I would just say, I think identity. I think find out who you are.
There it is.
Because once you know who you are, that'll tell you the rest about your life and, you know, your destiny, whatever you're supposed to be doing, whatever you're called to do. Because everybody has something they're called to do. If you're breathing, there's something you need to do.
Ooh, come on.
And sometimes we hold ourselves back. But
Yeah, I think that's key. Everything goes down to identity and how you see yourself.
Yeah, because even I've heard creatives be like, "Oh, like I'm so spacey because I'm creative." Yeah. No, you were made by God's nature, and God's nature is responsible. His heart is for us. His heart is to take care of people. And when you're late to meetings and you're like, "It's because I'm a creative," you're actually not honoring these people that want to come and do something with you.
So good.
So everything adds up to our character and our identity, and
It's good.
Beautiful.
You can use it as an excuse.
Wow.
Love it.
When did that term come about? I feel like it's kind of recent though, isn't it? Like, oh, I'm a creative. Like, I don't think back then Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles were like, "Hey, you're creative."
Right? Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think they just were like,
exactly.
artists,
I do think media's had a big influence on that, because there are people that are extremely talented and other people that are just dabbling, and the difference, it shows, you know, the quality. And some people have big budgets to buy all the equipment and some people don't. And so I think because of that, people start defining things like, oh, they're creative. Oh, that's super creative, or that's creative age, whatever, you know, whatever you want to say. But I do think media, and I mean, I think media has defined a lot of things and put a lot of people in boxes and told people what they are and what they're not and what they should be, you know.
It's good.
That's really good, Beba.
I don't know if that's good or not, but because I don't have the answer for it, you know. But I do think if everybody begins to learn their identity and starts creating from that place, the world would be transformed.
It's really good.
And social media wouldn't look the way that it looks.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like even hearing you guys, like saying creative is like saying human.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't make much
Like you might as
sense.
well just say human.
Yeah.
Like if you're human, you're meant to create something.
That's
like
right.
period.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Like
Yep.
whether it's a business,
Yeah.
whether if it's sneakers,
Yeah.
whether if it's Post-its, you
Yes.
know, like
Yeah.
I think creative is just like you might as well just say human,
Yeah.
or how about just child of God?
Yeah.
Like I think like you said, we put boxes on stuff and it limits us.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point, Jack. I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
Yeah, so I would say that.
So you break out the box by knowing who you really are, right?
Mhm.
So how am I supposed to figure out who I am by myself? You can't,
Yeah.
right? You're trapped. You can't figure out who you are by yourself.
Yeah, I think all of us have a story where someone else spoke into our lives or saw something that we didn't know it was there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know for me, I got into speaking because of Pastor Leslie. She was like,
I was gonna mention her.
hey, why don't you get up there and preach? And I was
She's
like,
gonna love
how about
this.
that's a bad idea? And I don't do that.
Yeah.
And I've never really did it before. And
Mm.
because she put me up there, I didn't realize, I like public speaking. And then I was able to go to college for it.
Wow.
And like that would have never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been a
Yeah.
basket weaver or something else. I don't know.
Basket
100%.
weaver.
I would have done something. But I think that's the beautiful thing, that the way God made us is He uses people.
Yeah.
He uses us, man. He, like Pastor Bear always says, like, we're each other's sandpaper. Like, you want to get pretty, get around people.
Yeah.
Like, and it's gonna hurt. And it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like, warning,
Seriously.
going to hurt. Friction is going to
Yeah.
hurt. You know.
It's
Yeah.
good.
But I think you brought up a big one, is get around people, the right people. Where's the
Right people.
camera? Is it the camera? The right,
Right
people,
people.
You know. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
love that. No, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Any? As a
can I-
human being or a creative. Oh, what are you saying?
Can I give a shout out to Leslie?
Yes.
Because when we were
She's
talking
gonna
about,
eat this up.
dude, I'm just saying, when we were talking about, you said you were doing piano stuff and you
Yeah.
were talking about how I am with you, I was thinking that was all Leslie. That's all. I've all learned that from her, because she was the best gold miner. Not a gold digger. It's a huge difference.
What does that mean?
She's the
What's a
best-
gold miner?
She was the best gold. Like when you're looking for gold, you're getting dirty is a prerequisite. Like you're digging there, you're fine with dirt. In fact, if you were
Yeah.
complaining about the dirt, you should probably pick something else to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But she was
Wow.
never afraid of getting her hands dirty with
Yeah.
us. She was never afraid of, like, she would be like, it's covered in dirt, be like,
Yeah.
but that's still gold. You
Yeah.
understand, right?
Yeah.
And so instead, when I'd see you, it'd be like, yeah, you would be singing off tune and you wouldn't even be hitting the right
Yeah.
notes. Sometimes it'd be so slow, it'd be so uncomfortable. Not anymore.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, it was hard to listen to. But you're doing it. And like, that's gold. And look
Yeah.
at where you are now, a year down the road. It's like, could you imagine if we both were just sitting there going, all right, you are really bad at this. Maybe you should stop.
Yeah.
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 The truth is, the truth is, you were bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that's not the end of the story. The end of the
Right.
story is I have gold in my hand,
Mm.
and that Leslie was always good at that. It was like, whether it's with your speaking, I mean, my whole life, I feel like she's been like, all right,
Yeah.
let's just look past this dirt, you know.
Yes.
So good.
And because of how she treated me and treated us,
Yeah.
now when I see someone with gold in them, I'm able to go, okay, that's dirt, but it's fine. You know,
Yeah.
that's fine. Look at that. You can play the piano. Let's keep going there. So I just want to give a shout out to her for that.
This is
good.
beautiful.
Yeah, she did that for all of us.
Yeah, no,
all
she
four
did.
of us. Yeah.
Gold miner. I like.
She wasn't afraid of the mess.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, she wasn't afraid of the mess.
Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Yeah.
Anything else? Any last? I want like one more thing from everyone. I want one more thing. one more ounce of vulnerability, Nate. No, but I think it's just good because it causes just growth. But what would be a speed bump?
Mm.
What's a speed bump right now when it comes to where God's taking you? A lie, a thing, that identity, that kind of what we all said, where we don't fully believe.
Mm.
Mm.
Just take a second.
Okay, well, you guys think I already know it. And this is why I love my wife, because she's very honest with me. Sometimes it hurts my heart a lot, but it's always really good.
You know who
really,
you married?
Yeah, I do know who I'm married. I do know who I'm married. So for me, something beautiful that Jack said. You guys know I'm teaching Sunday, and like, I don't know, it's just different. Like I'm teaching to like grown people, an audience, and whatever. It's a new thing. That's what it is. It's a new thing, and so I'm like struggling to like figure out what I'm gonna speak about. And Jackie was like, "It's already in you. Like, stop trying to like make it come out of nowhere. Like it's already in you." And I was like, "Wow, it is already in me." I'm just not convinced that it's already in me. And so like I've been going on my runs. I'm still running, and there's giant hills that I get scared, and like I walk. Like I take 2 steps on that hill and I start walking. But after Jack said that to me, I was like, "God, is it in me?" And he's like, "It's in you." And he was like, but it only works if you're convinced that it's in you. And I was like, let's do it. And I'm tackling like giant hills. Like I'm in so much pain. I was telling you earlier, I'm so sore. Like, do we have to use these foldy chairs? Like, I'm so sore. But the fact is that the grit in me, even though I'm heaving, even though I want to puke, like even though I'm like pushing myself, the grit is already in me to conquer that hill, to make that hill mine. You know? So for me, I think it's more of like not knowing that's already inside of me.
Good.
You know, that what I have inside of me, it's enough to go out there and use. You know what I mean? So that's my speed bump. I don't know what's
That's
actually
good.
in me.
I know for me, it's kind of even what Jackie went through today is I'm afraid to make messes. And like that's the one thing God keeps telling me. And I'm like, so sometimes I'm like waiting for God to like tell me something. He's like, no, I've given you everything. Like go make a mess. And I'm still waiting. And I'm so afraid to just go make a mess and get dirty. You know, like even like praying for people. I'm like, God's gonna give me a word in this. He's like, no, you go first. You're gonna go up to them. You're just gonna talk to strangers and you start. And I'm like, no, God, you're gonna go. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, and he keeps saying, go get messy. And that goes even with this podcast.
Yeah.
He was like, go get messy. Like for some reason, I think it's got to be perfect right out the gate.
Come on now.
And like, that's been such a speed bump. It's got to be perfect right out the gate. And like, for me, that's just, it's caused everything to slow down. So I'm kind of like breaking apart my life of like, okay, where am I not being messy?
That's beautiful.
And to me, that just showed me I'm boring God. Because like, I'm waiting. And he's like, why are you waiting? You know?
Yeah.
I could feel him like, hey, well, why are you waiting? I'm like, I don't know why you waiting. And I just do that with God. But I'll say that's for me is just the making the messes. I'm afraid to make messes.
So good.
You know, I think even it's with the being rejected part. But that's mine. Next. Oh, look at you, the two vulnerable people here.
Nate really wants to go.
Look at them.
I can see it.
You guys are
I
doing a
feel
great
it.
job. By the way.
Speed bumps. I have 1,000, bro. It's like a speed. I got just.
gonna say, I got a whole mountain in front of me.
I shouldn't be here right now. You should invite somebody else on this thing. No, I think you should go.
Okay.
No. I would say vulnerability probably.
Okay.
I would say I can tell. I can tell there's places that I've been going with God personally, that he's like, all right, let's go with people, or let's go to this place we haven't been yet. And I'm like, okay, but I would have to open up about that. Hurts, disappointments, like pain, trauma. Like you mentioned some stuff about what happened when you were a little kid, and I was like, oh, we never talked about that, God. And he's like, would you like to? And I was like, no, never, ever.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying? But
That's good,
but there are things lies that I told you guys I can tell the truth to yourself, but I'm not even starting the conversation with myself to even like tell the truth to myself. I would say that.
That's good,
Nate.
Nate.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at you. You look so uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, no, I think that would be it. Yeah, I think
That's it.
yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Look at him. He's trying to pass. No, let's stay there. Let's stay there, Nate.
How about you guys tell me? You know, what's my speed bumps? Go ahead, you tell me. That'd be easier.
You can't let me down.
Like,
You can't.
gosh,
Yeah,
bro.
you can't let us down.
You can't. You literally can't.
So actually, yeah, I'd say that. It would be vulnerability. Because you can't let us down. I always want to hear more.
Yeah.
That's a good one. He's not happy right now, people.
In my heart, I'm just like, bull, dude. But I get it.
Yeah.
That's good.
No,
So
Nate.
proud
yeah.
of you.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Good job.
I would say, can I say this to the viewers? So
Yes,
I would say
please.
sometimes I'm like sitting on the toilet and I'm just like scrolling and I
the
watch
kingdom.
these very inspirational things. Like, get up and attack your day,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I just like wipe my butt and go back to my normal day.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you watch these like real intense Instagram things of like, this is how you do it. Like, this is how you do it. You gotta bop, bop, bop. And then I go up and like, I'm not doing it. But it was fun watching. And so I would say this, my thing for you is like, if you're watching this and you're like, haha, this guy's uncomfortable, like DM us or like text me or like, and then like challenge me or whatever. Or I just don't want to do it alone. Like, I don't want to.
There it is.
I don't want people to watch this and be like, yeah, I should be vulnerable, and then go back to their normal life. Like, if I'm gonna get out here and be this vulnerable, dude, I would love for us to go. Like, it would like help someone to grow, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be out here and be like, this is hard, and then everyone go, yeah, this is hard, and then be like,
Good luck.
all right, let's go keep not doing music. Let's go keep hiding or whatever. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
That's really good.
good.
Good job.
That's good.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you for being vulnerable.
Good
You're
job.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Jackie Jack.
I feel like a big speed bump for me right now is I keep trying to save myself. Like I keep doing things and it doesn't go the way I think. So I'm like scattering to like protected and save myself.
Mm.
And I literally can't save anything or anyone. Like I can't. I think that I can, but I can't because I want control over everything.
Ooh, okay.
But it's not. I literally can't do anything about it.
Gotcha.
So like even this podcast has been really hard for me because like you edit it, you know, and I'm like, oh, like we could do something different, you know. But that's my control thing. And again, it goes down to like I raised kids. I had to control everything so that they wouldn't die, you know. And so I'm trying to learn. I don't even know how to learn how to lay that down and not do it. Besides like
Jack.
just being around you guys, because you guys challenge me at that every single day. Okay, every day I'm like, I can't control this. I can't control this, which is good. But and you know there was that quote in the book that we read together, where there's a will, there's a way.
Come on.
But where there's more than one will, there's more than one way.
Yeah,
and like I need more than one way because my way it doesn't work most of the time. You
That's
know?
so good.
Good.
I think that's a big one. I think we all have seasons of that where it's like you have to learn to like let go of control.
Sucks.
And we'll end with this. Just in case, I think the biggest thing, we've all heard this before, you know, if we want to go, Nate came up with this, where we say we want to go, we what, Nate?
We have to go together.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. We what?
We have to go together.
We have to go together. So if you're watching this, you know, where God wants you to go, He wants you to go with people. He created us the body for a reason. And like you said, we're each other's sandpaper. We're each other's, I don't know, we're each other's what?
Biggest fans?
Yeah, biggest
Biggest
fans.
fans.
I mean, that's. I think it's the biggest thing why I think this has been so fun with you guys is I know you guys are my biggest fans. Even when you guys cut into me, I already knew you guys were my biggest fans. So it did hurt, yes. And like he tried to touch me. That was real, by the way. And I pushed him away.
He was like, "Don't patronize
I was like,
me."
"Don't touch me."
But then you grabbed my chair and like.
And then I
pulled me
brought him back and I kissed him. and
Like
I
a
was
minute later,
a
you
minute
fixed
later.
it.
It was real
Yeah.
quick.
It was
But
really sweet.
but yeah, because I think the beautiful thing is where we say we want to go, we have to go with each other. So I encourage you viewers, like Nate said, if please connect with us, like, subscribe,
Yeah.
comment us, reach out to us. That's the beautiful thing about this life is we need each other. Like this podcast would have terrible audio if it wasn't for Nate. It would have terrible lighting if it wasn't for Jack.
Or no cameras.
Right? It would have terrible roofing if it wasn't for Rafa.
That backdrop, dude.
And that backdrop, right?
Yeah.
So you guys,
you.
thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for being
Wait.
vulnerable.
I got one more question right here.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like we took the roof off doubt?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
All right.
Were you guys
I
uncomfortable?
do. Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Then I think
I wanted
that's
to
the
throw up
biggest
most
thing.
of the time.
Good.
Good job.
I was real chill.
I was real chill. I was
I
real
love
chill.
this stuff.
I love you guys. All right, Atlas, take us away.
Well, thank you so much for being vulnerable with us. No Roof Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Love you.